there is such a thing as, yeah, doing a recomparison back at the night show, or because their looks may have changed or even changed drastically from day to night, it still could
Totally agree.
change. And that's why I said earlier on in this show that don't celebrate it until you get that trophy in your hand.
That's very true.
I agree with this.
Totally agree.
I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yeah.
think that the morning and the night show, I think you should be judged on both.
Yeah,
To
for
me,
sure.
personally,
He could have ate a
obviously
bunch
the
of
main judging is in
crap
the
and
morning.
meat in the
When
middle
you
of
go
it.
to the night show, they pretty much have the lineup of first, second, third.
Yeah.
But if you come in there and you're washed out completely and you were supposed to be first and the other guy is tight and he came in tighter and it was close,
Yeah.
yeah, I do believe like, hey, that maybe something should be
Yeah.
changed
Something
there.
has changed
And
for sure.
especially the posing too. If it's bodybuilding, if this guy, the night show has no thought process in his bodybuilding routine, just kind of bombs it, doesn't care. And then this
Yeah.
other guy, you can see, put a lot of time, had a great routine.
Yeah.
You should mark him up for that.
Yeah.
So
For
I
sure.
definitely think
So
that. All right, welcome to another episode of Paradise Pump. And we do have our guest that comes on every so often, John. John,
How's it going?
see
got
that he
good
came in
stuff to
peace
Yeah,
today.
say.
right.
He came in peace today. We got some good
Respect.
topics. We got some good topics today. We are going to
Mr.
talk
Controversy came in peace.
Mr. Controversy, Mel and Jed and myself. We are going to talk about the show yesterday, Aloha Muscle. So, and we had just on a previous episode talked about judging and just different, thoughts and ideas that we had about the current judging and things that we thought could improve it. So we're going to kind of go over that again and touch on that. And there's been some opinions about the show. A few people that I personally know that had personal opinions about the show and what they thought about judging. They weren't too happy about it. So I just kind of want to go over everything. And Mel, you can start it off since you were at the show and give us your thoughts on it.
I sure was at the show. As far as my thoughts, I did not judge this show. I had not been judging for a little bit now, although I am a judge. I've been expediting the past, I don't know, couple of however long. But as far as judging and how the judging fared that night, first of all, there are 7 judges on the panel. Um, we as judges, we're supposed to judge or plot them accordingly how we think, not how they're set up on the stage. And if um you guys are aware and very familiar with the stage, you guys been competing for a long time, and Ray Ronquillo makes it even easier for you to figure out where you're kind of gonna fall in place in your first call outs by the color that's coordinated on the ground in conjunction to where that placement goes. I'm not going to give it away because you guys are people who don't know are going to start digging into it, but it does make it a lot easier. So people think, that's where I'm going to be if I placed in this box on my first call out. I should be first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. To have that attitude, you you shouldn't get ahead of yourself or in put the cart in front of the horse. Don't celebrate until you get your trophy in hand. Also, too, even if you make first call outs, it's not done and over, like I said, until you get the trophy in your hands. And if you do have, and I've said it before in our last podcast, if you do have in a difference of an opinion with how the how your client or your friend, your family member, whomever it is got judged, bring it up to the judges. I personally welcome it, but there's a very tactful way to do it. You don't have to go and start your own
Make a scene.
make a scene and talk
Yeah.
behind, and start like ruffling up some feathers and see who will side with you or who will not. And then, like how it is with rumor mills or like whatever begins. You try to get more people to side with you and create a movement, and then it becomes like a whole big shit show. So if you
Shit show. I heard
yeah,
that actually.
Tribalism.
yeah.
I heard a couple people say shit show yesterday. I was like,
I
oh,
mean, even
wow.
as far as the show, the way that it was ran,
Mhm.
and I got I got a lot of dirty looks because yeah, I was expediting, but that was beyond my control. I'm not a fucking mind reader. I'm not psychic. I don't know, and it doesn't say, "Oh, we're having awards for every single category from true novice overall, masters overall, and that's masters 35 plus and 45 plus overalls, and then of course every open division. Mark, when we were highly competitive, it was just open
Mm,
overall winner, period.
right. Yeah.
And it was a thing of prestige to be like, holy shit, yeah, I got open overall.
Yeah. If you did novice, you just first to third, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy in first place. He was the overall, basically, right? Because novice is, I mean, they did have, I think they did have classes. It was like light, medium, heavy,
Yeah,
like lightweight, medium
yeah.
weight, heavyweight.
But then there was one
But then,
overall for open
right, there was
bodybuilding.
one for open bodybuilding, and then I'm trying to remember because the masters they would have lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, and then they would do an overall for that too, if I recall. Back in the day, yeah, if I remember that. But see, the big difference though back then is they didn't have so many different categories, right? So
There are a lot of
there's
categories
so many
now.
categories now that by doing that type of thing, maybe I mean in a national show, I guess it could work, but in a local show, I mean, yeah, it's kind of much. Especially local shows, they may have like one guy in the lightweight, two in the middleweight, two in the heavy, two in the
Yeah,
heavyweight.
for sure.
Just maybe just put them all on stage, right? All
Yeah,
five guys, line them up, and then first, second, third. That's it. Like you're in the
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Masters, maybe because
yeah,
it's going to be so small,
for
right?
sure. Definitely, I can see that.
And that's typically how it is
Yeah,
with these shows. It's gonna be the like small like that
yeah, for
for a
sure.
local show. Now, a national show, it'll be bigger.
Yeah,
They'll have 10 guys in one weight
yeah,
class.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know about that.
And I feel like when they do that too, it kind of like creates a false sense of security. It's like, okay, this guy's like jazzed because he won first, and the other guy's jazzed because he won second. But then there's only
Mhm.
two competitors, and they're like, I'm going to
Yeah,
nationals. And you're like, yeah, it's totally doable, man. But like, dude, like you're only compared against one other person. And it's like, I don't know. To me, yeah, I feel like two competitors in the division. I mean, that's cool. Like if hey man, first place is first place, you know what I mean? But like I don't think necessarily because you win first place at a local show and there's only two competitors in it, you're a national level bodybuilder, you know what I
But they're
mean?
nationally qualified,
But
and
there yeah,
they'll
there's
put that in their bio, nationally
there's a
qualified.
big difference between nationally qualified and ready to do nationals. You know what I mean?
Yes,
yeah. Well, I know, but I
absolutely.
think, I mean, I think some people, especially if they have a coach, I do believe that they have sense to know, like, yeah, you won, but hey, man, you beat one guy only.
Yeah.
So this isn't really a true marker
Let's get
of
better
how well you're
first.
going to do in the nationals.
Yeah.
Sure, you got first place. You only beat one guy. We need to see how you're going to line
Yeah.
up against more people.
Yeah,
And I'm sure if they have a coach, they have enough sense to tell them that, right?
for
Like,
sure.
not like,
Definitely.
hey, I won first place. I'm going to kill in nationals.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I don't know. Depends on. I mean, some people, some
Yeah.
people you see show up and there's only one guy and he wins, and you're like, yeah, that guy is going to do really well in
Yeah.
nationals.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
those guys know, and
Yeah,
those guys have been around a while.
definitely.
That's probably not his first time qualifying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And most of
So
the time in shows where there's only two competitors, it's the opposite way around, though. It's like they were both okay. I mean, they both look
yeah,
good, you know what I mean? But it's like for, the division, especially like bodybuilding and classic, it's so hard to be like, dude, the national level, even men's
oh yeah,
physique. Like, look at Kenny, tried like 8 times, 10 times already, still trying, you know what I mean?
hmm,
It's very
yeah.
competitive. So I feel like that's not a good marker, like you said, to have two people in your division. And it would make more sense to put more people on stage together. And even if they're smaller or bigger, to kind of just see the overall physique and the silhouette of their body, the conditioning. And you
Hmm.
could still judge it off that. I don't know.
Well, we could go back to the show again a little bit more.
Yeah, so like show production, it was a little bit of chaotic. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna lie. We don't, as expediters, we just get the lineup of the competitors. We don't have the itinerary of when and where we're gonna have like intermission breaks, or if there's gonna be like a some sort of halftime show, or I don't know, any whatever's right. So it kind of slowed the show down. It kind of broke the stride and the momentum, the energy in the room a little bit, because there was hiccups, dis dispensing of the awards and such. So that was one of the big production. hiccups that we had. As far as other stuff, I'm open to any complaints that you guys have. I mean, hey, we're just trying to make the show a lot better experience for the competitor and their friends and family that come out and support them.
Mm,
For sure.
I wish we had like, the promoter of the show. We had a meeting prior to be like, hey,
yeah.
this is my outlook. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. I think coordinating a little more, planning a little better probably would help.
Yeah.
I'm not involved in the show, so
Yeah. I
I
can
don't
honestly
I
say
don't
that.
have a whole lot of personal opinions about it, but
Yeah.
obviously Mel's there, so she sees it. I definitely think over the years the shows have changed as far as the show turnout. Just even the amount of people that show up to watch the show. I think that's changed.
Yeah.
I think used to be a lot more people coming to watch the show, and I think a lot more competitors, which obviously would attract more people to watch it. And I don't know why that's changed. I don't know. I feel like post COVID, things have changed a lot.
Yeah.
And then, like I was saying earlier, there's some people that had an issue with the way the show was judged. And I'm gonna say it. Johnny was on our show, and he made a reel on Instagram, and basically he was upset about how his client was judged, and he said, he's not gonna bring clients to these shows anymore, to the local shows, because he said he's done supporting it, and he felt disrespected at the show too. I guess apparently he was talking to Ernie Santiago. I'm assuming Ernie was the judge, maybe. I'm not sure,
No, he
but it
was
was, or
he
he
Ernie
was just
was
there.
just by the judge's
Okay, they
table.
were by the judge's
Yeah.
table, and apparently, I guess they have their laptops there. And Johnny was talking to him because Johnny and Ernie are pretty good friends, I guess. And one of the judges went up to Johnny and said, "He can't stand here." And this was during the break. And Johnny was like, "Oh, I'm just talking to Ernie." And the judge said, "Well, no, you can't stand here because we have our computers here, and we don't want you to look at the score, to lift our computer to look at the score." And Johnny was like, "What
It's
do
kind
you?"
of weird. It's a
Yeah,
weird thing to say.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and Johnny was kind of upset because he was like,
Yeah.
"Are you accusing me of being that type of person?" I guess he
Yeah.
felt like that person
You
was
think I'm a
saying
cheater?
you could be that person.
Yeah.
That's how he took it, I guess. So he
Yeah.
got very offended. So again, I guess kind of the show left a bad taste in his mouth. And I bring up Johnny because like I said, I know Johnny very well. We just had him on the show not very long ago.
Yeah.
So, and we'll probably have him back on again. Maybe he
Yes.
Yeah.
can maybe he can
You
talk
should you
about
should
it.
be on with John. You
Yeah.
can have
Yeah,
No.
we
two
can have John
Johns.
and Johnny.
Yeah. Right.
And I'd love to hear his thoughts because he seems pretty upset about
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah. For sure.
So again, just giving information out there, but
Yeah.
that's what's going on. And
See, that's like a tough thing too, because I'm a firm believer in like supporting the local shows. So I mean, unfortunately, like if you don't like the judges, I'm not saying I don't think I've ever been judged unfairly. You know what I mean? I think I've always deserved what I've gotten, whether it's 11th place or first place or sixth place. My goal was to always get better. So I'm not with me saying anything on this podcast or the last podcast has nothing to do with me saying I have been unfairly judged. I think I've totally been fairly judged. If anything, maybe I knew some of the judges and they judged me unfairly compared to the guy next to me. You know what I mean? Like maybe I had the ups. I don't know.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I feel like yeah, local shows, we really should support them. Even if like say you don't like the judging, like I mean, it's kind of tough because they have your future in their hands. You know what I mean? It's kind of almost like they're the Illuminati of the bodybuilding community, and they're just, if you don't, if you
Uh,
don't make them happy, your whole client list could potentially get second place when they all should have got first. And that's just the reality of it. It's like that in any industry. Like Mel's a stevedore. What if your cousin wants to be one and then I want to be one, right? Your cousin's probably going to be one before me, right? I
More
mean,
than
in
likely.
Hawaii, that's just how
more
it
than
goes in every industry, including
mm.
bodybuilding. You know what I mean? And sometimes it goes that way. But yeah, it's just sad that that had to happen because I feel like Johnny has a huge history here with competing locally, and
Oh yeah, he's
yeah,
done. I
shows
mean, honestly,
the
he's
most
probably done
shows.
the most local shows.
Yep.
Yeah, for
Honestly,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
if I was to say, competitor wise, he's done the most local shows over the years.
Yeah, for
Really.
sure.
So he's really supported it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he does have clients too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
You
it's
know?
kind of like sad that it got to the point where he had to be like, I don't want to support these local shows because I mean, he's definitely supported them in the past. And I feel like as people here from Hawaii, we all put this show at the end of the year, the Sean Ray, at like, this is the pinnacle of the year. You know what I mean? When in reality, like, what about the Stingray? What about the Aloha Muscle? What about the Ikaika? What about all of this stuff? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We all just go for this guy. I mean, no hate, Sean Ray. This is gonna get me in trouble too. You know what I
Let's
mean?
go.
But it's like,
I said, sure,
we
just
all
bring
we
it
all
up,
we
man.
all support this haole guy who comes down here from the mainland who makes all this money off of us. He doesn't, you know what I mean? He's made a questionable post on his social media advertising the Sean Ray one time with these like California
Yes.
haole girls in these grass skirts
Hula.
doing the hula. And then on top of that, to cherry pick it, like to the cherry on the sundae, like this guy in the comments was like, somebody was like, our culture is not don't sexualize our culture. And then,
Mm.
it was a Hawaiian girl who said that, who was obviously a fan of bodybuilding and a fan of hula. And she was offended by that video, obviously, a little bit. And his response to that was, hula looks very sexual to me. That's just what he said. I saw it. He deleted it all, but so many
Mm.
people saw it before it was even deleted. I
Mm.
went straight to the comment section. When I saw that video, I was like, "Oh my God, this is terrible."
Yeah, he made it
I went
look like
straight
a.
I went straight to the comment section and there was a list of comments already. And I'm still to this day blocked by the Sean Ray on social media.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was very
Oh,
glamorized,
wow.
like it
Good
was like
job.
a
Yeah, they blocked me.
Holly style glamorized luau.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think,
they're
well, I
very
saw that
yeah.
video
It was
actually.
basically like,
I saw it.
a bunch of white people had a
Did he remove it?
had a
Yeah,
bodybuilding?
he
Video?
Yeah,
did
he did.
immediately.
Like, oh, he took it down quick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I remember seeing it. I don't know how long it was up there. I did see it when it first came up, saw the whole thing, and then yeah, I don't remember after that. But so it got removed pretty fast.
Yeah, so imagine this, right? Imagine if a bunch of white dudes went to Africa to have a bodybuilding show and to advertise it, they all did blackface
Just
and,
started
and
throwing
did
spears and shit.
yeah, and did like fucking tribal dancing and like painted their faces black and
Shaka Zulu stuff or
dude,
whatever
that
they
was the
do.
equivalent of the video that he
So
made
you're
about Hawaii.
saying if he had used Hawaiian girls or local girls to do hula and he had filmed them and put it on, that would have been okay? Is that what
It
you're
would have
saying?
been better if he was just talking. You know what I mean? Hey man, come to my show.
So you don't
I'm Sean
so you don't
Ray.
think hula has any place in that show?
It's not
then,
hula, it's
as
just the way
far
that
as-
they did it. Mel knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm just wondering. I'm
so
just
you remember
curious.
like the old school Hawaii 5 in the beginning?
Yeah, no, I know
And
exactly
then
what
they
you're
had
talking
the hula
about.
dancers.
Yeah,
With the
yeah.
It was
plastic
like
legs,
straight,
Yep,
yeah,
yeah.
right?
coconut
It was like the
things, you know what I mean?
1960s, 1950s
But that
tourist
was
style.
pretty much-
Stereotypical.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
before a movie comes on at the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, it was a
That was-
pow, now, now,
But
it
was-
And they were
you
just
know,
going
yeah.
like this.
It
like
was
they're
the
going
Aloha
like
way.
this.
you
Yeah,
know?
it was like
Yeah.
full on mocking
I know what you're
it.
talking
It was
Yeah.
they were making a mockery of it, and it was in California at a trade show. So there's all these people
Okay,
going
okay.
over there. Like,
no,
oh my
I
God,
get
you know?
that. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, for
My
sure.
thing is, if, and I'm not even defending
Yeah.
Sean Ray or the show. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I want to get a viewpoint. If he had used local women,
Yeah.
done it here on the island, filmed it,
And men.
tasteful, and men too. He
Yeah.
could use men, and filmed here on the island doing hula to promote his show. Would you have been okay with that?
His show in
Yeah,
Hawaii
totally.
with the
Yes,
Hawaii
in
sure.
Hawaii.
theme.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
With
sure.
local
Yeah.
talent doing it.
Yeah,
Would you have been
definitely.
okay with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, there you go.
And then if I'm not mistaken, when Sean Ray comes down here, he brings his own judges.
I think it's
Sometimes
half and half. But
Half and half.
the head judge and chairman, who is Mark Valencia, he is a judge, but he's not head chairman here. So the last couple of shows, I think it was Tamer or one of the other guys.
I think there
that
was
came
like
down.
2 local judges only, right? Was it Mark and
Angela?
Caleb?
No, Angela.
Oh, Angela.
not
It's
Angela.
Mark. I
It
thought
was
it's Mark and
Caleb.
Caleb.
Because
Caleb.
Caleb is
Mark
an
and Caleb, and
IFBB
then
judge.
all the other judges,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Zoe just helped with stats. She just did numbers.
Oh,
she
she just
didn't.
did stats. Okay.
Yeah, she didn't. Yeah.
So there's 2 local judges that are judging that show. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't. Caleb is the only IFBB pro judge here in Hawaii besides Mark Valencia. And see, and that's the thing. We need to, I'm going to say it, we need to onboard more people. I mean, especially if we're going to have like pro shows in Hawaii to expand, the bodybuilding community here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Jed,
What?
what's your thoughts on some of this?
What?
What's your thoughts on some of this stuff,
Oh.
man? On the shows and just how things have been going and like overall, like what's your thoughts? Because you've been around the shows for it's been a while now, and I know you've seen them change. And
I've probably been in it about 15 years now.
yeah, so that's a long time. So what do you think, man?
I think the cost has definitely gone up. I remember when coaches used to get a free prejudging ticket and backstage pass, and that was never an issue. Um, I think now, if I'm correct, if you do crossovers, you don't. They only bring you out for one of the categories, right? And then the other one, they just stand you out there next to everybody. You don't get two full times on stage,
Routines.
right?
You get a one show, like, so you come out on one routine. So if you did, for instance, bodybuilding novice, open, and masters, you do your first showing in novice, your routine
Yeah,
or like
yeah, yeah.
whatever in novice, and then for open and masters, you come out, you strike one pose, and then you're off to the line.
Okay, so
Or
why can't they just like what's the price for one category now? 150, 200.
yeah, about 150 or
Something.
So why
so.
can't the second category be 75? If you're doing crossovers in more than one category, it should not cost the full price of everyone if you're not getting the same amount of time on stage each time.
Well, duh. Tyler Manning likes driving Ferraris. No.
It's just not right. That, but like I said, I remember back when it was a little bit more laid back. We used to be able to get backstage, not have to pay all this money and get all these cards and buy all these. I remember when one show came down and we had to have a prejudging ticket, evening ticket, NPC card, and backstage pass. It cost about
Oh,
$300 for the coach to be backstage for their client.
Yeah.
That is absolutely absurd.
did they get rid of that NPC card thing now? You
No.
still have to have it,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if you're just a coach.
For sure. Yeah. Before you didn't need it
Oh,
if you were a coach to go backstage, but now to go backstage, you need an NPC card, right?
So
well,
they say yes. It's a
yeah, they
liability. It's an
say.
insurance
Oh, that's right.
liability, despite you having your own medical care.
You know when that actually started, right? That was the first. I think it was the first Sean Ray or the second Sean Ray.
Yeah.
I think that's when they
I remember
started
when it
it.
was the Hawaii Pro was the first one that came down. They
It
started
was a
doing
pro.
that.
It was a
So
Hawaii Pro.
It was one of the two.
I
is
thought it
that
was the
really
Sean Ray.
an insurance thing though? Because I mean, what's going on backstage? People lifting 10-pound weights to catch an arm
You
pump?
slip on some Pam and
Like
like
you,
crack
oh
your head open.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can slip on
exactly.
Pam,
Yeah.
exactly, dude. You can
Slip
slip on
on Pam
Pam, and
and
you can
oil.
split your head open. You know,
Yeah,
I don't.
that's
What?
why I'm saying
Yeah,
it's a liability,
So
even
yeah.
though you
yeah,
have your own medical care.
I'll also
yeah,
say, and we've talked about this before, is when I was here in the military and we'd go to these contests, they were having to sell standing tickets because so many damn people were there. And they were like trying to look in the door, look over the shoulders to the stage because the guest posters and all this stuff. I mean, there were people packed in that ballroom. Like you'd get there and be like, "Oh, you wouldn't want to get there late because you'd be like, holy shit." And now it's like not even close to that anymore. The
Mm,
attendance was crazy when I first came here.
yeah,
It's
mhm.
like 2000, 9, 10, 11, 12, like the first few years when I started coming to the contest, it was insane how many people would show up at these things, and you don't see that anymore.
yeah. Well, I feel like the fitness industry has changed too, which could have a impact on that. Where like now people who might have been into bodybuilding and been in that standing room ticket buying section, like Sam Sulek now, and they just stay home and watch him on YouTube. So it's like
Yeah,
now they have all these options of like people who are semi kind of bodybuilder ish. They lift, they look like a bodybuilder. They're not really dieted down. They never do
Mm,
shows, but they make like content and it's pretty interesting. So like like they go that route, and it's like those people probably would have all been into bodybuilding because obviously they're into muscle,
mm,
obviously they're into the gym and lifting weights, but they just get sidetracked with the bullshit, because now there's so much access to everything on the internet that you have to literally sort through 90% of the bullshit to get to 10% of the good shit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like I think it's just they're just lost in the sauce. There's just too much sauce
Ooh,
out there, and they're
sauce.
just tasting it all, and it's like,
We
yeah,
like sauce
yeah,
in
sauce. I
bodybuilding.
know, right?
Bodybuilders love sauce,
I
man.
know, sauced up.
Guest posing was absolutely awesome
Yeah,
when I first got here too.
they used to
Yeah,
have that.
Guest posers were
Yeah.
like top notch guys that would come down.
yeah,
And not saying anything about guest posers we have now, so don't start that shit. I'm just saying like there's a difference between somebody that's pro or maybe from here wants to do a guest posing and seeing the guy who fucking placed second at the Olympia
oh,
come
totally.
down to the Paradise Cup and
Yeah,
be in the crowd for you to come talk to. A big
Mm,
fucking difference.
mm.
yeah,
So, I mean, that's what you used to get when you would come down to these contests.
Yeah, and then you get to see them in person because, like, I mean, I didn't see him guest posing or anything, but I remember Brandon Curry came to one of the Sean Rays, and he looks like a gigantic human being on
Yeah.
stage, right?
I
And I
met
stood next
him.
to him, and I was like, man, this guy is small. Like,
Yeah.
he's like literally like 5'9" or 5'8" or something, and he's really round and big, but he's not some. He looks like he's 6'4" and gigantic on stage, you
Yeah,
know?
I've met him. I met
It's
Phil.
cool to
I
see that.
personally talked to Phil Heath, Branch Warren. I remember I was just telling somebody outside how the place when I used to work at Powerhouse, we seen Flex Lewis in his prime,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. Sean Roden. They used to come down here, and it was these were the people, the caliber people you see come on Island to go to these shows,
Sean
and you don't see it
Roden,
anymore.
R.I.P. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I feel like
Mm.
another one that made an impact on me, a pro. I mean, not during my time, but it was Rich Gaspari. So
yeah,
he was at one of the Sean Rays, and this dude had a table of free supplements for people to take, like like what are they called? The free trial pack type
yeah,
Samples.
yeah.
samples, free samples for people. And he was working his own table by himself with a Gaspari shirt on. And I looked at him, I was like, "Aren't you Rich Gaspari?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Man, why are you working your own table? Don't you have like some like hot chicks doing this or something? That's what everybody else does." He's like, "Oh no, I still like to talk to the people." And I was like, I remembered that, and that was cool. I got to see Rich Gaspari. I took Super Pump when I was in high school. You know what I
Super
mean?
pumped.
Yeah, I
Super
was,
Pump
yeah.
250.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So I was like, damn, dude, this is the Super Pump guy. I'm talking to him in real life. And this is like, what, 15 years after high school? And I'm like
Yeah.
still pumped on it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. So I feel that is cool when they would have stuff like that. Yeah, totally agree.
Oh yeah. Well, last week we were talking, and you were talking a lot about it,
Yeah.
about the judges, and they should maybe have some experience in the category, right? Like a men's
Yeah,
physique
for sure.
category should maybe have a men's physique judge,
Yeah, no, definitely.
and that might have, rattled a cage here and there,
Ruffle up
or
a
Yeah.
few
ruffled a couple of
feathers.
And that's a
feathers.
that's a thing if I
And
could
so,
maybe explain myself a
yeah,
little
yeah,
better.
why don't you explain
Yeah, because the
that?
clip
And
didn't
then,
really like do me justice. Like
yeah,
what I'm
okay.
not saying anything about our local judges. I'm talking about at every level. And I'm just John from Hawaii Kai. So I don't know why my opinion is making people upset. You know what I mean? I'm not on the judging panel. I'm not employed by the NPC. You know what I mean? I'm just a person who's done a bunch of shows at the amateur level, had no desire to turn pro because I didn't have the genetics for it. I have way too many tattoos on my body too. So it's like, I'm just coming from a fan of the sport. I've loved the culture of bodybuilding. I've dove deep into it. I've studied the history back to the circus days at Coney Island and all that kind of stuff. Like I really engulfed myself in the culture, even though I was just doing men's physique. It stems all from bodybuilding. But like I feel like in each category on a judging panel of 7 people, you can definitely have one person that's had experience competing, not at the pro level or anything. I'm not saying that, but just one person from each category, like one bikini judge, one bodybuilding judge, one classic judge, and you guys all judge all the categories. But say when it comes to the men's physique category, like you might be able to judge their physique, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. But like, what if you don't keep up with contemporary men's physique and you don't watch the shows now? You don't know the style of posing. You don't know how the shorts are supposed to look. Like, you know what I mean? Like every judge, like, you should study, like, you know what I mean, shows and stuff too, and like know who the top competitors are from the Olympia last year, because that's going to dictate what the future of the NPC guys are striving for. So I feel like if you had a judge from each category, like it would be a well balanced judging panel. And this goes forward to say one judge wants to retire, like Mel, say she's the specialist for figure, right? And she's like, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm a stevedore," right? Boom. Like now you have it narrowed down. You don't just call the random homie who wants to check out chicks or something. You know what I mean? You Now you need a figure judge. So now you have somebody who you have people like you. It's narrowed down. You know what I mean? And there's a specialty in that category. So if say like I'm just using me as an example. If I'm the men's physique judge, you know what I mean? We're all judging the physiques and we're all judging their conditioning. We can all do that. But what if you're like, hey, John, it's down to these two and they both have the same physique. Who flowed better on stage with their posing? You know what I mean? I might be able to tell that better than somebody who's never even tried to hit a men's physique front pose. You know what I mean? Who's never even done the category. And they could refer back to the bikini person for that in those situations. It wouldn't happen maybe even every time, but if it ever did come up, that's what they could refer back to. And that's all I was saying. You know what I mean? I don't care who judges the Hawaii shows. I don't care who judges who. that was just an opinion of mine saying like, I think this would be the most well balanced and most like, I don't know, to almost just like, have the clout and street credibility. You know what I mean? To like be judging all of this and like to have a well balanced and for everybody to feel confident with paying $4,000 to do a show. You know what I mean? People invest a lot of money into this. You know what I mean? For a high five and a cheap trophy.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You go to nationals and you're investing even more. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like the judges shouldn't ever get offended when people have suggestions. I mean, I didn't say anything disrespectful, and I think it should always be respectful. But there's no way they should get offended when people question the judging. You know what I mean? What is this? Like,
Well,
oh, if you don't
also,
agree with us, then you can't talk to us. You know what I mean? It's
well,
that's
well,
not what
well,
Yeah,
also too, because we had talked about not just having a judge that had competed in that category,
yeah,
but a judge who had actually competed, or a judge who
totally,
had been coaching,
yeah,
who has a lot of experience coaching, has taken people from the gym to the stage, so they're in the trenches, they understand it, they know the emotional aspect of it, the feeling of it, that culture, being in the culture itself,
yeah,
all of that.
for
We've talked
sure.
about that too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that might have
Rub
got some
some.
feelings hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, the opinion that
Yeah.
if you've never coached and you've never competed, then maybe it's not, maybe you shouldn't be a judge, right? Or
Yeah.
or what gives you the credentials to be a judge?
Yeah. So
That's
so
what it
say I'm
is.
applying for a job, right, at Louis Vuitton. What's one of the first questions? I mean, over there's probably no.
First question, to interrupt you
Yeah.
rudely, what kind of working experience do you have, right?
Bingo. You know
On
what I
top
mean?
of all of this, judging, it's subjective perspective as well too. So, we all are entitled to our own opinion, even as judges, as spectators, and
Yeah,
competitors,
for sure.
and we should be able to freely speak our mind without getting too offended or emotionally involved. We should all state our case. Sometimes there are things like how you were saying. You should be able to approach the judges and be like, "Hey, could you please explain to me like a third grader why
Yeah.
why it went this way versus that or so on, whatever questions that you may have."
Yeah. You do it
And
in
the
a
judge
respectful manner.
respectfully,
Yeah,
yes,
respectfully, not disrespectfully. Respect the judges.
yeah, and if you should be open or even going up to the judges for judges feedback. If you're not ready for the answer or the response, then don't.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I think too. Judges are always at a show. There's 7 judges judging 200 people. Well, you know what I mean. Like, unfortunately, I'm like just being real. There's 200 people judging the judges. So if you're a judge that can't handle judgment themselves, like I'm not saying anything bad about anybody else, but maybe your skin isn't thick enough for this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Good point.
Because you need to be able to handle that because like you're able to tell us if we have too much water in our lower back and we didn't diet hard enough and oh you need more muscles, but we can't just be like I don't agree with that and and then you know what I mean, like people can't do that. It's all mad like you know what I mean, like that's that woke culture that's going on nowadays where it's like if you don't agree with us then you can't say anything, and if
Yeah,
you don't agree with us
that's a
then it's fuck
problem.
you. You know what I
That's a
mean? Like
problem.
there can be an
Yeah.
open dialogue and conversation. Like I'm the Charlie Kirk of this shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like I'm just
Mm.
being, somebody wants to shoot me in the neck because I just told the truth. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, and knock on wood, little sensitive. You know what I mean? Maybe too soon for that joke, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, like you can't be a judge and be offended. Like you have to have a little bit of humility. You know what I mean? In
Mm.
in essence, we pay $4,000 each to do this. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and we're paying all this money to do this, and you guys are getting paid to do what you do, if not volunteering, but still, like, we invest a lot of money into this, so it should be okay for people to question things,
I agree with you, and
you
I
know?
think society. I mean, it's getting crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk, like that was messed up,
Yeah.
completely wrong. I don't think it's just because of he had his own opinions on things,
Yeah.
doesn't deserve to die,
Yeah, no
and I
ways.
don't care
Yeah.
whatever the other person's opinions was, it just doesn't deserve to.
Yeah,
Nobody
for sure.
deserves that. So And then, but that's what's, I see it all the time on the internet too, on social media. People are going crazy, man. You go in the comment sections, somebody comments, you comment back, and they just attack.
Yeah, for sure.
People get so triggered.
Yeah.
I like the word triggered. And I've actually, because I don't even use it, but I've actually done it. I've gone onto comments here and there and stuff, and I would just very subtle comment, and somebody would come back upset, and I'd say,
Yeah.
"Wow, triggered much," and then that would flip them out. Like that would really flip their switch, and I just
Yeah.
kind of laugh,
For sure.
yeah, okay, dude, like you can't even talk to me. And in real life, you would never be acting like that to me.
Yeah, no, for
No,
sure.
you wouldn't at all.
Yeah,
You would
never.
be like, "Hey, you talk normal,"
Yeah.
because
There'd be a
let's
fight.
just be honest, they ain't gonna do that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because they're, especially a man to man,
Yeah.
shit happens. There
Yeah.
is consequences for your actions
Yeah.
when you're face to face with somebody, especially.
Yeah.
Like
Not saying
so.
that that's what we're talking about with the judges in Hawaii.
Yeah, we're never talking about that.
We're
We're
not,
just
no,
we're talking about
we're
judges at all.
this
No,
is completely
no, the
separate.
judges. This is different. Of course, no, they already know that.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, so the reality is, again, I think, yeah, we all have our opinions,
Yeah.
and you have your opinions.
For
I even
sure.
have my opinions. I even said, hey, I think a coach, you should have some coaching experience or be some
Competition.
type of competitor to
A
be
judge.
in the judging panel. I
For
totally
sure.
think that.
100%.
Doesn't mean that I have an issue with any of these judges here.
Yeah,
You
no.
know what I mean? No, I get along with all of them.
Yeah.
But that's my thought process. If
Yeah.
I was running that
Yeah.
organization, that's what I would be picking.
First thing on the
Just like you said, if
yeah.
you're gonna go get a job at Louis
Yeah.
V,
What's your sales
yeah, what's your
experience?
sales? Well, I used to do lay down ceramic tile.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that has
cool.
nothing to do with this job.
Yeah, and that's
But
exactly another thing I think that people got offended by me saying last week is that I think that all judges should have some type of competition experience. The reason why I say that is because, like you don't know, you're just very surface if you haven't. You're just surface with this. Like you haven't lived the lifestyle. You haven't been
the
involved in the
culture,
culture.
yes,
You haven't dieted for 16 weeks. You haven't taken harmful drugs that could potentially shave years off of your life, okay, to get a trophy and a high
that's right.
five. You know what I mean? You don't know what that feels like. You've never depleted water. You've never taken the diuretic and woken up with stomach cramps. Fucking your whole track is cramping up. Like you don't know those feelings. And then like I was even at Designer Body previous to this talking to Brian Ikeda, and he did a show, and he said, and it can change from morning to night, but he won the morning show, and his cousin Dean was really upset about this and made a big stink about it. And I love Dean. Shout out to Dean. And which he should have, but Mark Valencia changed his score from the morning show to the night show. You know what I mean? So those kind of decisions, and I'm not trying to I don't even care already. But it's like, those decisions are so easy to make when you haven't taken the harmful drugs, when you haven't dieted for 16 weeks, when you didn't suffer, when you didn't invest $4,000 into an amateur show, when you didn't have to buy your coach an NPC card when you're broke and you spent all your money already, but then you got to somehow come up with $250 to get your coach backstage with you. Like you've never done none of that. So it's so easy in those situations to just be like, no.
Well, however, in some of my colleagues' defense, which they might have got offended because I didn't defend them enough, maybe.
Yeah.
We're all adults. We're all entitled to our own opinion.
Yeah.
If they have a problem with you or the things that you may have said
Yeah.
or anyone else, they're grown. They could bring it up to you. But however, back to the story in Mark's defense, maybe he have changed it. There is such a thing as, yeah, doing a recomparison back at the night show, or because their looks may have changed or even changed drastically from day to night, it still could
Totally agree.
change. And that's why I said earlier on in this show that don't celebrate it until you get that trophy in your hand.
That's very true.
I agree with this.
Totally agree.
I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yeah.
think that the morning and the night show, I think you should be judged on both.
Yeah,
To
for
me,
sure.
personally,
He could have ate a
obviously
bunch
the
of
main judging is in
crap
the
in the
morning.
in the
When
middle
you
of
go
it.
to the night show, they pretty much have the lineup of first, second, third.
Yeah.
But if you come in there and you're washed out completely and you were supposed to be first and the other guy is tight and he came in tighter and it was close,
Yeah.
yeah, I do believe like, hey, that maybe something should be
Yeah.
changed
Something
there.
has changed
And
for sure.
especially the posing too. If it's bodybuilding, if this guy, the night show has no thought process in his bodybuilding routine, just kind of bombs it, doesn't care. And then this
Yeah.
other guy, you can see, put a lot of time, had a great routine.
Yeah.
You should mark him up for that.
Yeah.
So
For
I
sure.
definitely think
So
that
even for like Olympia, right? They have prejudging one day and then the show the next. So in my division, on my come up at nationals, I had to peak one day, maintain it, or peak twice in the
Right.
weekend. So mine's was Friday, Saturday.
Oh
So we
yeah.
did our prejudging judging Friday in the morning, and you have to hold it
Yeah.
and whatever. And then they did take a second look at us, especially us top five girls, and be like, do they deserve those positions? We still
Yeah.
had to fight for it the second
Oh,
day.
you got to fight for it. Yeah, because I mean, I've done a national show. We did posing. It was weird. It was nighttime. Our pre-judging was at nighttime. I don't know why. And then the next day,
That's kind of cool though, because I always
the
look better at the
next
night
day,
show.
yeah, it was a nighttime pre-judging, which
Yeah.
was pretty interesting. And then the next day, it was the finals, and it was the next evening, I guess it was. So yeah, so you have to hold that conditioning
Yeah.
that whole time. So imagine it wasn't even a morning prejudge; it was at night. So that day of the show, the whole day you're peaking for nighttime,
Yeah.
and then the next day you've got to peak again for that show and keep that
And then
conditioning.
imagine somebody who's never done that having the final say on whether
Well,
you get first or second place.
I would like to hope that the judges are professional about it and don't just pick, because people don't know. The judges just don't pick who they want. It may seem that way. I mean, it might be. I only can speak for myself. I will reward who deserved it because
Yeah.
of you fall within the criteria of that division, not because, oh yeah, that's my friend. I mean, I if that was me, I'm only speaking for myself when I say this. If I had that kind of mentality, I don't think I would be deserving of being a judge or even involved in any type of judging, if that's the case, maybe.
You know what would really be helpful then, I think personally, is they could even do this at the show. They could even put the NBC guidelines in the back on the stage, like, and put like bikini and make a thing of what they're looking for, men's physique, and just put it for each one.
Or just
So
in
when
that,
people walk back there, they're like, oh, okay, men's physique. So people can see it in front of
yeah,
them, not just assume,
yeah,
and they can read, this is what the judges are judging you on
yeah,
for each category.
but
Then there's no confusion.
for
You know
sure.
what I mean? And people will see that, right? Because I
Yeah.
think sometimes, and I've probably seen it happen, somebody gets upset, my person was supposed to win and whatever. And maybe it was like, well, they looked really good, but the criteria, they didn't
I
really
I do
match
have
that
a
criteria,
I do
you
have a
know?
Yeah.
question on that as well too. Say it's your friend or your client or what have you. I mean, of course we want them to do well. Of course we want them to win. But are you looking at them, like, I'm just saying, with rose-colored glasses, right? And being like, yeah, but look at her body, look at his body. He or she should have won because like you really want them to, in
Right.
comparison
No, I
to
get that.
who's up there on
I get that.
stage.
And that probably happens all the time. You're being a little biased because it's your friend or your client, so you're probably going to be a little biased, right?
Yeah,
You've gotten
right?
used to looking at their body for how many weeks now, so maybe you're like, yeah, I like their look, whatever, and then somebody else comes in. Sometimes it's hard, I think, to just separate that and be like, okay, I have to be really non-biased and see how does this
Y-
person
You
look
know, I'd
against my
Yeah.
guy,
and I'd like to throw that challenge out there. If I was if I had the say in this, for the people who have opposing decisions or whatever perspectives, you guys should try to come out and test judge to see how you will fare as a judge as well too.
Mhm.
Yep. And I feel like like we went over it last week though, getting back to that criteria posted. I think that's a great idea. You know what I mean? So because I feel like a lot of these competitors and a lot of these coaches don't even read those guidelines. But what they
Mhm.
also do is watch the IFBB and follow stuff on social media. They know who the top pros are in all the divisions that are going on. And I feel like that's also like, like should be some of the criteria for being a judge is like, like, hey, Pittsburgh Pro is this weekend. Hey, judges meeting this weekend. We're all going to order the Pittsburgh Pro at Mark Valencia's house and we're going to barbecue and watch it. You know what I mean?
You bring-
Like that,
In his fancy Kailua
yeah, like
house.
Oh man,
you should
shout
definitely
out to Mark
be,
Valencia.
yeah, you should definitely be up to like date with what's going on in the IFEB because that's who these NPC guys are looking at and like trying to be like, you know what I mean? So like if you don't know, like do you know Urs just switched from classic physique to open bodybuilding and just won a show and is qualified for the Olympia on the open because he was maxed out at his weight cap in classic and couldn't get his back any bigger and he was getting smashed. So once he went to open, he was able to get bigger, put on weight, and he won a show. Boom. Do you know that? That's part of being part of the culture. You know what I'm saying? That's being up to date. So when I say like judges should be like, relevant and current to what's going on, it doesn't mean you need to be competing anymore. Like the fact that you even competed qualifies you to be a judge. You know what I mean? But you need to stay current to what's going on in the IFBB. And if this is really something that you're into, and it's not just like you judge a bodybuilding show and then you go home for 2 months and you don't think about bodybuilding for 2 months and then you come back 2 months
Yeah,
later to the next show.
Yeah,
Like
valid.
you need to be
right.
following what's going on.
Right.
It's so easy to follow nowadays too, compared to back in the day. You can follow certain pages and it tells you everything and it shows you the top people and it shows you first call outs. It shows you all these people. Like you should know the names of everybody who was in the top 3 in every category in the Olympia last year. If you're any judge in any state at any level judging bodybuilding, you should be a fan to the core, you know what I mean? And be down with the culture and not just be surface with it. You know what I'm saying? Because people invest a lot of money into this. I've invested thousands of dollars into this for nothing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it was just for me and I was into it at the time. So, that's the thing is like, when I say these things, there's some weight behind it. I'm not just some random dude, you know what I mean, who just doesn't know nothing about bodybuilding. I probably know more about bodybuilding than a lot of judges from a lot of places. I bet you I can give a men's physique posing seminar better than most judges. And I'm just being honest,
And
I
he's
Nice,
speaking
nice
next to a
challenge.
I
judge.
could give you
Nice challenge.
no, I'm serious. Like I watch people with good physiques all the time look like clowns on stage because their coach doesn't do men's physique and then they tried to pose them for men's physique. I
Mm.
see it all the time. I don't say anything, but I'm saying it now. If your coach is posing you and they don't do men's physique or don't follow the IFBB of what the top current pros are doing, do your client a justice. Do them justice and send them to somebody else to get posing
Mhm.
because they're going to go out on stage after doing drugs, after training for 16 weeks, after paying you thousands of dollars, and they're going to look like a clown. So, you know what I
Ooh,
mean?
wow.
So
Yeah.
that's just like if I had a bikini competitor and I can't go through the bikini posing and look swift with it, I'm gonna
Mhm.
holler at Mel if she might be better at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can train you, I can give you the diet, I can get you conditioned, but posing is a different thing. It's an art. You know what I mean? And that's why I wish they judged the posing in men's physique too, because it's so different from bodybuilding. It's so different from classic physique. I've seen so many people in men's physique with great physiques blow it at the local level in Hawaii
Oh yeah.
because their posing is
I
terrible. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that I am the most awesome bodybuilder. I'm just a fan, somebody who's involved in the culture, who's watching stuff currently, who I don't even do classic and I just told you all about Urs. Like, do you even know who Urs is? Like, so it's like I think like, like if you're, like a judge, you definitely need to be open-minded. You need to be, a little bit like thicker skin. You can't be so offended, you know what I mean? And if you have that attitude where it's like, "Oh, you don't agree with us, well then fuck you." Well then, hey, that just goes to show that hey, maybe we're right. You know what I mean? Maybe these judges can't evolve, Don't be that, be the other type of person. Evolve, you know what I mean? Keep
That's
keep
right.
keep
Yeah.
up to date with what's going on in the IFBB. You know what? How long has it been since Flex Wheeler bodybuilded? And if that's the era you left off on, like, bro, so much has changed since then.
Yes,
You
good,
know what I mean?
very, very, very
It's
good,
been a minute.
valid points.
Flex Wheeler is classic physique right now.
Well, Flex Wheeler is missing
Yeah, no,
part of the leg now.
Yeah,
no,
so
but I'm just saying,
he's
like,
I'm just
no, but I'm just saying,
you know,
if
Body
he was,
standard.
if
yeah.
it, not his right now, but if he
Yeah.
was in his prime right now, Mike the Badass
He
from
last time he
Germany.
competed, he did
Do you even
classic.
know who Mike the Badass is? Mike the Badass from Germany, dude. He might smash Flex Wheeler in the classic division. You know what I mean? Chris Bumstead would have smashed Flex Wheeler, I think, in the classic division. Like, I don't know. So, well,
Well, not
Flex Wheeler actually was really good though too. So
well,
I'm
not no, yeah, I'm like not when Flex Wheeler was in his prime
not
in
when he does not when
bodybuilding.
he does the splits on
Chris
stage.
Bumstead would have not. Chris Bumstead would have
Yeah,
never beat
sorry,
Flex
I got a little
Wheeler.
carried away there.
I know when Flex Wheeler
Flex
was at his
Wheeler was
prime in
an
bodybuilding,
anomaly
dude.
for real. Yeah, he was,
That's bro. No,
and rolling up in the
I can
Mercedes with Dr.
I can tell
Dre.
you.
Like, dude, yeah,
Yeah, no, no, no.
yeah,
I was there in the
yeah.
No,
'90s.
No,
we
I
we've
saw
yeah,
him on
we've talked
Iron Man.
about the
yeah.
evolution of bodybuilding, like how women's bikini today was yesteryear's women's figure.
Right,
Exactly.
You
right.
know, so
It
just the
was.
evolution of sports. I mean, yes, I'm standing with you there that the judges should stay a little bit more hip in the game, and
Yeah.
we talked about relevancy. I'm not backing down on my word or anything that was on that podcast that we had with you talking about judging and judging criteria. I honestly think that um you're doing a disservice to the up and coming guys if you don't stay hip to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I agree totally.
because they're gonna go to nationals and think that they're it, and then they ain't it. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel, yeah, judges, that's another thing that they should really stay up to date with what's going on. Like if you don't watch all these shows that are going on all year in the IFBB and then you just come to the show, like I mean, you've been like blind to the culture for
Mm.
all that time in between the last show.
Well,
And then it's like, like going back to like if you haven't even done a show, like you haven't even suffered, you haven't even taken drugs,
I
you haven't
I
even, you
take
know what I
judge.
mean?
Well,
Like
I think being a judge is obviously there's a
yeah,
lot of work behind it, obviously,
for sure.
and definitely not talking down about what the guys do, what the judges are doing, and it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It's kind of a labor of love, right? I mean, in reality, they're not really getting paid a whole lot to sit there all day and do this show,
Yeah,
right?
no.
So, we can sit here and talk about it and talk shit about it if you want to say
Yeah.
that, but
I'm just gonna
they'll
say
they'll
this.
they'll probably call somebody
Uh,
might be calling
but
you out saying, "Well, John, go be a
well,
judge
I'm just
then,"
gonna say this. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I paid $4,000 to do every show.
Hmm.
I paid to do the show.
Now, would you want to be a judge?
Like,
Would you want to try out, John?
dude, like
Would
you
would
know,
you? Would you?
I would be a judge.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. But at the
All
same
right.
time, like I'm going to be honest, like I wouldn't be familiar with a lot of the other categories, but what I
Right.
could be a specialist in is men's physique.
Okay.
So you could refer back to me if you weren't too sure about some posing, if you weren't too sure about the angles that they were hitting, if you weren't too sure about the fist placement on the hip, if you weren't too sure about how their hands were looking, and while they were even on their hip, were they in a fist? Were their
Yeah.
fingers spread
Yeah.
apart? Were they doing the two gun? Were they doing the four gun? Like, like I could break that down. You know
All
what I
right.
mean? So it's like if there was somebody like that in every category, getting back to that, like that's all I was saying. It would be helpful. I'm not saying that you need to do that. Like I'm just John. I'm just somebody with an opinion. And honestly,
Sailor John.
like a lot of people say these things, but they say it behind their backs. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
So it's like, like I'm just saying something and it's not even that bad. Like, man, like, how many times I've been told I wasn't big enough? You know how many times I've been told I wasn't conditioned enough? You know how many times that I've been told I need bigger legs? You can't handle me saying something so small. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even talking about anybody in specific. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if you took offense to anything I was saying, I apologize for offending you. But I'm not taking back anything I
I
said.
don't know if they took offense of
Yeah.
what you said.
Yeah.
I don't think it was
Yeah.
necessarily
See,
that.
the thing
Okay.
is, like, we're
But
saying it. The things
yeah.
that people are thinking, we're here. Free
Well,
speech.
we hear
We're
it.
we're
You
talking
hear it in the
about it.
backstages. You hear it in the gym the
Thank
day
you.
after the show, the week after the
Yes.
You
show.
hear it on Johnny's
People
reel.
coming, shit. Some people will post. A lot of people won't post.
Yeah.
But some people will. Yeah. But a lot of times you hear it, especially in the gym. People are talking about the show and being here in this gym and being through all those shows and hearing the different comments. Yeah, it happens. And there's also people that praise, how the show was and
Yeah. And
praise
I'm
how
not
the judging
saying,
was. So there's
yeah.
that too. So,
I've never been like again,
you
I've
know,
never been unfairly judged. I'm saying for me, but I'm just saying like in my ideal world, you know what I
mm,
mean? And what is that? You know what I mean?
right.
But it's like every judge would have experience in the sport. And that would be the first question on like what is it called? The application. If there is an
Hmm.
application for this job, first question at the top of the application, competition experience. That would be
Right.
my first question if I was to make an application for a judge. You
Right.
know what I mean? And if it was zero, you know, that might get pushed to the side. You know what I mean? Because in all honesty, if you're qualified, like, look, you could be so successful in any other aspect of life. You could be an entrepreneur, a business owner, a gym owner, but that doesn't translate over into bodybuilding.
Um,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I love Kanye West. I think he's amazing. He's smart. He's a great musician. He makes awesome beats. But what the fuck does that have to do with bodybuilding? You know what I mean? So it's like, what does that have to do with bodybuilding? So like that doesn't really translate over into being a judge.
Mm,
You know what I mean? You need experience in this specific thing. It's like if I was gonna go judge jujitsu, I only been doing jujitsu for 5 months. You know what I mean? I've watched it on YouTube a bunch of times. I love the culture. Like I've looked at it. You know what I mean? I'm a
mm,
fan, but I've never been in the trenches. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a white belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've only done 2 submissions in 5 months. What do I have? What business do I have judging a jujitsu competition? So it's like,
Well, I mean, that's definitely valid points. And I think if one of the other judges want to come on the show, that'd be great. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd love to have
they should
Mark on
come
the
on and
show.
just have
Mark,
conversations.
that would be
Yeah,
great having Mark on the
yeah,
show. Since he is the head judge,
yeah.
and
'Cause
I would love to
I
talk
was
to him.
honestly like didn't think I said anything that bad. You know
No,
what I mean? So I
like I
was
said,
like,
I don't think it was what you
yeah,
said, man.
okay,
What you had said, and then there was maybe, I guess, they didn't watch the whole video
That's a
possibly,
problem as well too.
and then they got a clip of it, and maybe they were waiting for more of a response from Mel
yeah,
because Mel is part of the NBC staff, and possibly they didn't like the fact that Mel didn't respond enough or respond the way that they wanted to.
yeah,
That might be it. I'm not 100% sure on it, but that's what it sounds like.
okay,
So
That was
what
a
you said is fine.
that was
okay,
a 1 minute or some odd sound bite
Oh, exactly.
yeah,
compared
for
to
sure.
the
Well,
hour and 15 minutes that we spoke. I
Yeah,
think, and we covered
yeah.
it
Well,
very,
here that's the
very well.
problem. People watch just reels and then that's it. They don't even sit
yeah,
and watch the whole podcast.
yeah,
So
for sure.
they have an opinion of a one reel instead of watching the whole thing and being like, "Oh, okay, I see where this
And
goes."
most of the time, I mean, if you're in the culture for social media, what have you, the sound bites, that's clickbait. We love that shit. We
100%.
want, what did
Yeah.
he say? Click, view,
Something
right?
good, right? Just something good. I mean,
Yeah.
John got a lot of sound bites, so you know.
But yeah, but no, like I feel like the
It's
judging
good.
here, like I've never had a problem with the judging myself. I know a lot of people have, but like you can't be mad at those people for having problems with your judging because like, like that's just reality. You can't make everybody happy. If there's one winner and the rest of the people are pissed off. All judges know that. There's one winner in every category and everybody else is bitter, you know. That's just how it usually goes, you know what I mean? And if your skin's not thick enough for that, then like maybe you should really rethink this because it's going to bring stress and anxiety to your
Mm,
life,
mhm.
because like you're judging people on a very superficial, thing. And it's like they can't just question it. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just one of those
Yeah,
things where, but being respectful is always key. You know what I mean? Don't disrespect them for sure.
for sure. No, and like we were talking about the shows earlier too, there is a lot that goes into the shows. The show promoters put a lot to it again, and yeah, some people will complain about how the show is run or what happened at the show. But again, put your money where your mouth is, right? Like if you don't like it,
Yes,
then you make your own show.
yes.
Yeah.
And I get that too, right?
Yeah.
So and it goes the same for all of that. So yeah, but we
Well,
all have our own opinions,
yeah, for
and
sure.
it's fine. And I definitely, I think I got to give the guys credit, Ray and
Oh, for sure.
Alan and stuff for putting these shows on. Still, like
Yeah.
it still surprises me because every year I think, are they going to do it this year?
Yeah.
Because sometimes the turnouts are so small,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, he's still doing it. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, but I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
It's a
for
lot
sure.
of work, and it's a lot of time and money. And I don't know how much money they're making, but
Yeah.
it's probably a lot of money just to run this thing. So
Yeah. And I can honestly
again,
say I've um volunteered my time at the Aloha Muscle before. And that was what,
mhm,
last year, maybe 2 years. I don't even know. Last year.
Last year.
Yeah. And like, I volunteered. I didn't get paid. I'm not employed by the
right.
NPC, but like I wanted to give back to the culture that gave so much to me. You know what I mean? So I was trying it's my first time doing it. So I was kind of like, had a little hiccups here and there. But I can honestly say like Ray
Yes,
Quilio,
Ronquillo.
Ray Ronquillo. Um, he's a really cool guy, man. Like he talked to me personally and was like, came up to me and was like, "Hey, thank you for helping out, man." He's like, "Nah, like, I really want to make this show really good for the competitors," which is maybe why he likes to give out a lot of awards. And it might take a little long, but you know what? He's in his mind, he's doing it for the good of the competitors. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? There's no like, oh, I just want to drag this shit out and try and make it like, like he's really thinking about the competitors. He didn't need to make all those extra trophies, like you
yeah.
said. You know what I mean? He didn't need to get all the extra hakulays. You know what I mean? He didn't need to do the fireworks in the back while they're taking their picture with the thing. You know what I mean? Like he didn't need to do any of that. You know what I mean? And that's why like I really respect him as far as a local promoter, as somebody who's competed in bodybuilding before and has experience in that. Like he's done shows
Yeah.
and he's trying to provide the best experience for the local competitors here, which is why getting back to I thought it was kind of sad that John Ligsay kind of, because being that he's competed here so much and that like what I mean, the local shows, I feel like that's one thing that we should support because it's never the promoter's fault for questionable judging that you think is questionable. You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with the promoter. He's throwing the show and those are the judges. You know what I mean?
Right,
So you
right.
shouldn't punish the show for something that you didn't agree with the judges. That's a little separate to me, in my opinion. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I see that. I don't think he was punishing the show. I just think he
NPC as a
loves the show
whole.
because he even said,
Yeah.
he loves the show, but I think he just realizes
The
that the
judges are going to be
judges
there
are going to be
regardless.
at
Yeah,
those shows,
for sure.
so he doesn't want to support
Yeah.
that anymore because he doesn't think it's fair. But he did say how much he does love the show and he respects Ray, and
Yeah.
so
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
yeah,
That's
So it's
yeah.
just one of those things, right?
Yeah, it's that well, that kind of sucks. I guess there's no way
He's
around
gonna
it
walk
then.
away. He's just but hey,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
You're not happy, walk away, get up, walk
Yeah.
away. You don't have to complain about it anymore. You
Yeah,
don't
for
have
sure.
to be upset about
Said
it.
your
Just
piece. Yeah.
take your ball, right, and just
See,
leave.
but
Yeah.
that's the thing he did not. He made a scene with his reel,
Mhm.
started, naming names and then pulling people in and
No, he did. Honestly, I think what really got him upset was that whole thing about the going to the judging panel and kind of being accused of,
Trying to
possibly looking
cheat
at
or
this
something.
computer.
Or,
Yeah, I think that's what really, really got him upset. Like he felt very offended because he talked about that a bunch and he felt very disrespected because he's been involved in the sport for so long. People know who he is.
yeah.
He's been around. He's been an ambassador of the sport, and I think that's what really upset him was
And say
that.
he did see the scores, right?
Hmm.
He's gonna find out the scores later on. I mean, so even if that
Yeah.
was it's kind of
Well,
a
it's just
weird
that
it's a weird
it's not so
flex,
much. It's
you
just the
know.
act.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
like my phone's here and he's standing there. I go, "Hey, man, like, whoa, what's up, Mark? Oh no, my phone. I don't want you taking my phone. Like you'd be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm not gonna take
I'm
your
not gonna
phone.
take your phone. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
weird. It's
offensive,
awkward. Yeah.
especially because people know who he is.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
not like he's some random stranger.
Yeah.
That's a little different,
Yeah,
right?
no, and
Like the
then
guy he's a fixture here.
yeah.
So I get it. I think part of it is he feels like he should get a higher level of respect for what he's done in Hawaii bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I think that's where
having an
it
expectation
affects
is
him, right?
wrong to begin with. First
Right.
and foremostly, it's mentioned inside the morning briefing, and this has been going on for a long time as well too. You're not to approach the judges table,
Mhm.
not even during intermission or
Mhm.
break or whatever you want to call it. And you're not to approach the judges table until the end of the show for judges'
Right.
feedbacks as well too. I mean, Johnny might be an ambassador of the sport and next to his good friend Ernie, and he's another legend in itself. But rules are rules, and it was
Yeah.
disclosed first thing in the morning. You don't approach the judges'
100%.
table.
I agree with
Yeah, I agree with
I am
that.
a rule guy. I agree with it.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
just think the comment didn't have to be said.
It was blown
All
out
you
of
have to say
proportion.
is you can't stand at the table.
Yep.
That's it. Oh, how come? That's our
And
rule.
I
You
think
can't
Or
stand at
hey,
the
that's
you
table.
mind if you guys are gonna
yeah.
talk? You mind stepping off
That's
to
it.
the
That's all
side?
you
Yeah,
gotta say.
and I
Right,
think
right,
like that's
right.
what they probably meant. But maybe that person was kind of like, oh, I don't know how I should say this. I kind of want them to just get away.
But
Oh
I
my
think it
God,
was
and
everything on top
then
of each
you
other.
know,
First
and
his
then that's just what they chose to say.
no, I like I said, I think it's everything on top of each other.
Yeah.
Just the snowball effect with he felt like his client wasn't judged
Fair.
fairly on top of
But who is
everything
who is
else.
his client? Like, wish you could just be like, Jamie, pull up a picture of his
Oh
client.
no, he
Yeah.
has a reel of
Yeah,
her.
he has a
She looked pretty good.
yeah.
I didn't see the comparisons, but
In compared
she did
to what?
bikini.
Mm-hmm.
She did bikini. So
Yeah. See.
I don't have any comment on
And like I
where
said,
she should have
are
placed, but
you looking at your client, your friend, your partner, with rose-colored glasses?
Yeah.
Because
No, for sure. I see that. Yeah. 'Cause,
I didn't even look at the
yeah.
comparisons of where she should have or her lineup.
Yeah.
I saw her video go on stage and that was it. So I don't even know about
Get us
that
even
part.
more trouble if we like the next day after the show, like go over the lineups and just like have our own judging panel right here.
exactly, just like what
We
Tyler
could.
Mannion does
Yeah.
I
right
mean,
here.
we
Yeah.
These are my
could.
top 5 picks, and these are my reasons why.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
yeah.
that.
We could break it down,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I'll break it down in my
Right.
opinion.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I mentioned before, if you think you could do better at the job, then go ask Mark to test judge a couple of times.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
that
That's it.
easy.
That's it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, for sure.
If you think you can do it and you have a lot of opinions about it, then yeah, why not? Why not
Yeah.
try out for it?
They
Especially
they
if you
would
got experience.
never let somebody just do a random test judge though.
I'm pretty
No,
sure.
not a random, but like somebody who, like you said, is experienced,
I would
right?
tell 'em, if I know somebody doing the okay, you can do the Sean Ray. Okay, I'm gonna do that one time testing judge for the Sean Ray thing.
No, I mean, like I was saying, if if
Yeah. If you're
I
serious about it.
opposed the judges' decisions, knowing that
Yeah.
there's 7 of them up
Yeah.
there in comparison to me that don't know dick
Yeah.
and think that my friend should have placed better, I would
Yeah.
want to be like, okay, I need to see where I stand comparison to like the judges set of
Yeah.
Mm.
points.
For
Does my
sure.
shit stink or do their shit stink? Really?
Yeah.
Or does everybody shit stick?
Does
Everyone's shit
everybody
stinks.
Yeah.
shit stink?
Right.
I would want to know out
Yeah.
of my own curiosity because if I really did suck, then it'll be like, all right, maybe there are things that I do need to learn, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. And that's another thing too, is I feel like how Mark was saying that like posting up the criteria for each division and how it's being judged. Because we even went over the criteria for men's physique last week, and the criteria on the NPC website does not match what they're rewarding in the IFBB right now. It said something about they don't want them to be too conditioned. What do you
Yeah.
mean too conditioned? The men's physique division is the most conditioned
Shredded to their
division,
gills,
most
yeah.
most
Yeah.
most conditioned out of all divisions. You know what I mean? Shredded.
Mhm.
And that's part of the description of men's physique is like, oh, you can't be too conditioned. Like that doesn't even match. It's that they need to update that. You know what I mean? So that's even another thing where it's like, people can be kind of questionable about this. Even if you did judge according to that criteria, they're like, well, I watched the Arnold last week, and this guy, I have a body very similar to his. It's just a little smaller, but it's like that's who won that show. And then you never even watch the Arnold. You don't even know the name of the guy or who he's talking about. You know what I mean? And that goes back to like you need to stay up to date with all of these things because like, yeah, the culture is changing, especially in men's physique. Men's physique is such a unique division because it's so new. You know what I mean? In the past 5 years, the look has changed three
Oh,
times.
even women's physique
And yeah,
itself.
the look changes all the time. You know what I mean? Compared to when men's physique first started to now, it's
Yep.
changed like 4 or 5 different
Yeah.
times.
Especially compared to
You know?
bodybuilding and
Yeah.
like bodybuilding has kind of been
And
bodybuilding this
now
whole
they just
time.
made a weight cap for men's physique the other year. So like now
Right.
it's changed
So
again.
even that,
So
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you don't even know, like, if you're not keeping up to date, what's going on in the culture of what you're judging people on that invested $4,000 into the show, that took all the harmful drugs.
Jo-
You know what I mean? Like you're
John's still
not,
bitter about the
Yeah,
4,000 that he
no,
spent
dude,
he
I,
on
didn't
his
take
dude,
last
course
show.
on this.
I'm like, man, I would have had a down payment on a condo. Shoot,
Oh my
man.
God. With all the
How many,
shows?
yeah, how many
With all the
bodybuilders do
shows?
you know locally that could have bought a condo with all the shows they've done?
Wow. Man.
Yeah.
And you're mad because they're just questioning you. If it's in a disrespectful way, then that's not cool at all.
Hmm.
Totally. But if,
Mm,
people should be able to question the judging.
right.
Yes.
There
Right.
should be an
Yes.
open dialogue about things. Like you should be able to do that without fear of being
Yeah.
blackballed if you do another show.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
100%.
Oh,
100%.
like if somebody, like if say Mark says something, okay, all the Iron Hawaiian Fitness guys, they're going to get second now when they should have got first. Oh, GY Fitness got his name on. Oh, so GY Fitness is the new hot gym. So it's like, like there's all these things that tie into it's like people, that's why people don't, I'm not going to compete in bodybuilding anymore. I don't care. You know what
Right.
I mean? I don't
Right.
care. You know what I mean? But the
Yeah.
people who are, they say all of this behind the judges' backs. They complain all the time. They say all these things and they never tell it to the judges' faces because they don't want to get blackballed, because they don't want to not do good, because they want a fair shot. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that's the thing that, we shouldn't be.
So like as far as being blackballed by a judge, you should be entitled to your opinion. You should, if you have a opposite of opinion to like the judging, you should bring it up to them. And I'm gonna say it tactfully. There's respectfully as well too. And if you think you're gonna get blackballed, well, that should be better motivation for you to come into shows fucking lights out.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right.
You
Lights
can't
out.
let it be close. If you know that it's like that, you have to smash your
Oh,
competitor. You
well,
know what I mean? That's the thing too.
I've
I agree with
had
that, man.
I've had shows that I've come in, not just here in Hawaii, in the mainland, and I've, placed second. And I was so upset because I thought I should have won, right? And I was like, man, and the judges are telling me, they're like telling me, hey, you got to come in a little bit more conditioned, whatever. Okay, fine. So then, you know, there's another show coming up in a few weeks. I did the next show. I mean, I came in and then I won. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay, I got rewarded, right? Like
Yeah,
I listened. They said come in more condition. I
yeah,
thought I was good enough, but apparently they wanted more. I brought them more, and then I won. And that's happened a couple times actually.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I mean, the judges listen, or the judges
And it
are
helped you get
watching, and
better,
I listened, and I did what I was supposed to
and you got
do,
better. Yeah,
and I got better, right?
yeah,
And it was harder on
yeah,
me. I was like, oh, I got to diet even harder. I got
yeah,
to cut more calories.
yeah,
But that's what they wanted. That was the look that they wanted, and
yeah,
I had to suffer more. But guess what? I got rewarded.
Yeah,
So
see, and to me, like I've never at some point I just stopped asking for judges' feedback, not because it's not valid, not because I don't trust them, not because I don't value their judgment.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just because like at some point I faced reality. Like I'm looking at all these pros,
Mm.
and if you want to be a pro and you want to do good, like, and you're dude, like you have to look like them.
Yeah.
And if
So
you have to live in reality, you can't live
Mhm.
in a false reality.
what
You have to
you're,
That's
look at
true.
yeah,
yourself in a mirror and be like, do I look like that guy who's the same height as me? You know what I
exactly.
mean?
So
Oh,
like
I don't?
as far
Okay.
as
You know what I mean?
being your
I
own
have to get better.
hardest critic or
Yeah,
harshest judge or what have you, that's exactly what I did. I put up a picture of somebody that's relevant in in the industry,
for sure.
placing their
Best way to do it.
top three at
Yeah.
shows, and I would put my weekly pictures, my updates, and be
Yeah.
like, I got a long ass way to go,
Yeah. For
and just
sure.
humbly be like, I'm not ready.
I'm working.
Week after week after week, I'm not
Yeah,
ready. I'm not ready. I'm not. And I think more of us need to do that and stop
for
looking
sure.
at ourselves, at our progress that we made from when we were obese and overweight in comparison to what we are now. If the objective is bodybuilding, because that's what you guys are competing in, are you guys meeting that?
Yeah, for
The
sure.
top three in pros, or even like I scale it back at the top three at nationals, because they're doing the same circuits,
Yeah.
trying to get that coveted pro card.
Mm.
Yeah.
Their names are out there. Do I fare against those girls, those guys?
Yeah.
Am I even that good?
Yeah.
You really got to look at yourself objectively like that, and
Yeah, for
not think
sure.
like, oh, I'm good enough, or wonder why, oh, I didn't place well. It's political. Eh, maybe it
Yeah.
could be political, but I'm just speaking for myself. There's 7 judges.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
Well, no, that's awesome. Yeah. So if any of the judges from the Hawaii NPC organization want to come on the show, be my guest. You guys are always welcome to come on the show and we can talk about things or you can voice your opinions. That's fine. Like that's what we're about, right? And we're really here to
Yeah.
support the culture here in Hawaii.
Yeah, for sure.
That's that's why we did this.
Yeah,
That's why we
and
started this.
just
So
yeah, and just because we don't connect on judging a bodybuilding show or like, it's not even that I'm like there's so many other things in life to connect over. You know what I mean? Just because somebody doesn't like the way you judge a bodybuilding show doesn't mean that they're a terrible person and all this stuff. And just because they judged it the way you didn't think they should have judged it doesn't mean they're a terrible person either. Like I'm sure if they met at the park and had their dogs and they were just having a conversation, they'd be having a lovely
yeah.
conversation. You know
I
what I
mean
mean?
again,
It's just one little aspect of life, but
it's
unfortunately, it's something that people invest $4,000 into, take lots of drugs.
here he goes. It's bodybuilding. John's still dwelling on his
Yeah.
money that he spent. It's bodybuilding. It's very, it is. There's a lot of different opinions,
Yeah,
and there is criteria. But again, it's subjective, right?
very
So
subjective.
you're being judged. So that's
Yeah.
just what it is.
It's a vanity
Know that you're
competition.
being judged.
Yeah.
That's it.
To
So
close out this, just because I may be an IFBB pro and a judge, and this is just a blanket statement, I personally don't feel like I'm above anyone else. I still, it doesn't put me in a different category.
Mhm.
Everybody is still my peers, and for those who may think that we're untouchable because, oh, we're judges, we have to be nice to you and butter you up for the next show. No, don't do that. Just be you and bring in your best package to the next show.
The malasadas don't hurt.
package.
No, no.
You don't need to butter me up. I'm just saying,
Bring in your best and biggest package.
the package.
No, you
The
you said
package.
trigger word package. I was like, bring in your best package, guys and girls.
The biggest package.
We love the packages. Anyway, all right. Well, we'll end the show on that note of the package. Do you have anything, Jed? You got anything you want
Hey,
to
the man with the biggest
say?
package
Yeah,
win.
that's right. Biggest, tightest, and most shredded package. Anyway, well, good talk. So, yep. Again, any judge that wants to come on the show, you guys are always welcome, or anybody else that's involved with the NPC and the show promoters too. Like, hey, we'd love to have you guys on here. So just hit us up, and we'll definitely bring you on.
Or have an opinion about the judging that you want to talk and put on record.
Oh yeah, if
By
there's
all
coaches
means.
that have opinions,
Yeah.
and they want to say something
Coaches.
about it, and they want to be honest
Yeah.
and put it out here, then you guys are welcome too.
I'm not
Don't
the-
be afraid
yeah.
because we're open forum here.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to mention names, but I mean, I have seen other coaches upset backstage and talking to their clients and not stoked. So, I mean, there are coaches out there who have not been stoked too. They just don't say
Yeah.
it to the judges, maybe.
Be brave.
Yeah.
Air it out.
Yeah, right.
Get it off your chest. Let's talk about
Come
it.
on here. Come on and talk, guys. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And we're going to see you again next time on Paradise Pump. Aloha.